On the morning of January 11th, 2013, the quiet of Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia, was broken by a discovery in the gymnasium. 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was an honor roll student and a gifted athlete, known that his peers for a warmth that matched his talent on the football field. But that morning, his body was found trapped upside down and head first inside one of the school's vertically rolled wrestling mats. He was missing his shoes. Local officials quickly proposed a theory. Kendrick had reached for a sneaker stored at the bottom of the mat, slipped, and became wedged in the tight space. This official account of a freak accident immediately struggled against physical logic, beginning a decade-long conflict between a grieving family and a wall of silence. The investigation moved with startling speed. Less than 24 hours after the discovery, local law enforcement moved to close the case. The sheriff's office declared the medical cause of death to be positional asphyxiation, suffocation caused by the body's position. Kendrick's parents pointed to a glaring contradiction: the severe blunt force bruising and swelling on their son's face, which seemed impossible for a simple fall to produce. Suspicions deepened when it was revealed that investigators waited 6 hours to contact the county coroner, a direct violation of Georgia law, which requires notification within 60 minutes. These broken protocols and the haste to rule the death accidental turned a tragedy into a suspicious event, forcing the Johnsons to seek an investigation outside the local system. Seeking their own answers, the family exhumed Kendrick's body in June 2013 to perform an independent private autopsy. A private pathologist found clear evidence of blunt force trauma on the right side of Kendrick's neck, indicating his death was likely not an accident. However, the most jarring discovery was internal. From the head down to the pelvis, Kendrick's vital organs were entirely missing. The state authorities and funeral home had discarded his remains, instead stuffing Kendrick's body cavities with old newspaper and department store circulars. The substitution of newspapers for vital organs signaled a shift in the stakes. The family was no longer fighting simple incompetence, but a deliberate erasure of physical evidence. The search for the truth turned toward the school's surveillance system to trace Kendrick's final movements. This timeline shows Kendrick's day. A critical segment of video from the camera pointed at the gym mats is missing, a gap of 1 hour and 25 minutes that aligns with the estimated time of death. Rumors and student statements focused on 2 brothers, Brian and Brandon Bell, who had a prior physical conflict with Kendrick involving a dispute over a girl. For the Johnsons, the case took on the dimensions of a conspiracy when they considered the brother's father, a local FBI agent. Missing videotapes and suspects with high-level law enforcement connections established the foundation for a suspected systemic cover-up. The legal battle has now lasted over 900 days, growing into one of the most significant challenges to local authority in the state's history. The Johnsons' $10 billion lawsuit targets the brothers, the local sheriff, the state GBI, and even federal judges. They allege a racketeering conspiracy designed to provide cover for the FBI agent's sons and to ensure the truth about their son's death remained buried. Kenneth and Jacqueline Johnson remain unwavering, continuing to demand a jury trial and a full accounting of what happened in that gym. This case is a direct accusation against the American judicial system, claiming it weaponized its procedural power to dismiss evidence and protect its own members. This story is rooted in the history of Valdosta, where deep mistrust has long existed between the Black community and law enforcement. There is a tragic irony here. The bureaucratic machinery built to protect a citizen was allegedly used to erase a 17-year-old boy. Kendrick Johnson's legacy stands as a stark, enduring symbol, a testament to a family's refusal to be silenced by a cold institutional wall. On January 11, 2013, 17-year-old athlete Kendrick Johnson was found dead inside a high school gymnasium in Valdosta, Georgia. His body was wedged upside down inside a vertically rolled wrestling mat. Within 24 hours of the discovery, local law enforcement concluded their initial inquiry. They ruled the teenager's death an accidental positional asphyxiation, concluding he had become trapped while reaching for a loose shoe. The Johnson family secured an independent second autopsy to review the findings. The presiding pathologist determined the death was a homicide, citing non-accidental blunt force trauma to the right side of the neck. That second examination revealed a severe physical anomaly. From the head down to the pelvis, all of Kendrick's internal organs were missing. The empty body cavity had been stuffed with newspaper. The digital record was similarly compromised. An hour and 25 minutes of footage was entirely missing from the school's surveillance hard drives, specifically from the camera with a direct line of sight to the gymnasium mats. Representing the family, attorney Benjamin Crump pointed out the mathematical improbability of the failure. Out of 36 cameras, the only one that is blurry is the one pointing at the mats. That is the crux of this case. Where is that video? Bureaucratic errors typically result in disorganized or mishandled files. The simultaneous removal of a victim's internal organs and the targeted deletion of digital footage pointing at a crime scene indicates a coordinated effort to dismantle evidence. Independent investigators working for the Johnson family interviewed over 100 students regarding the events of that week. Every student cooperated, except for 2 brothers who were referred directly to legal counsel. One of those brothers had engaged in a documented physical altercation with Kendrick on a school bus in 2011. Investigators noted the brothers may have been on campus at the time Kendrick died. These 2 students shared a specific biographical detail that immediately shifted the trajectory of the case. Their father was an active agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The introduction of a federal law enforcement connection altered the local investigation. Witnesses stopped talking, and local authorities ceased pursuing leads connected to the family. The hierarchy of jurisdiction effectively walled off the suspects from local police. In October 2013, the United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Georgia initiated a federal civil rights investigation into the death. Federal authorities seized the local high school's original surveillance hard drives and reviewed tens of thousands of emails and text messages. This diagram maps how control over evidence transferred upward, removing local oversight. The DOJ and FBI assumed absolute jurisdiction. 3 years later, the federal investigation abruptly closed. The agencies withdrew without a single charge filed, offering no explanation. A procedural dismissal allows an institution to neutralize an inquiry without addressing the facts. By concluding the investigation internally, the government avoided any requirement to publicly refute the blunt force trauma or the missing footage. 8 years after Kendrick's death, newly elected Lowndes County Sheriff Ashley Polk reopened the local investigation. To proceed, he formally requested the federal documents that had been withheld from the county since the federal probe began. Following a judge's order, the federal government released the materials. The transfer included 17 boxes of witness testimony and documents and 2 computer towers of data. The county's review concluded in January 2022. Sheriff Polk published a 16-page synopsis and closed the local investigation again, repeating the initial conclusion that there was no evidence of foul play. Extensive multi-year reviews that yield no new actions serve a specific administrative function. They project the appearance of diligence, exhausting the financial and emotional resources of the victim's family, while ultimately validating the system's original narrative. In September 2023, the Johnson family filed a $1 billion federal lawsuit against multiple agencies, including the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The complaint alleged a coordinated obstruction of justice to cover up Kendrick's murder. In March 2026, a federal judge dismissed the lawsuit entirely, citing procedural defects, statutes of limitations, and sovereign immunity. However, within her ruling, the presiding judge documented a profound and unprecedented observation. She explicitly expressed concern about the inconsistencies between the various official reports regarding Kendrick's death. Days prior to that dismissal, the Johnsons filed a new $10 billion complaint. This time, they named the federal judges themselves, alleging the court had used its position to provide aid, comfort, and relief to those responsible for the cover-up. The judicial branch acknowledged severe evidentiary flaws in the official record, yet terminated the case to protect state agencies from liability. When an institution uses legal immunity to shield documented contradictions, it demonstrates that self-preservation supersedes the discovery of truth. As of April 2026, the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office maintains that the case of Kendrick Johnson is still active. A $500,000 reward for information leading to an arrest remains unclaimed. Kenneth Johnson issued a direct statement to the individuals and institutions involved. If the message is not clear enough, let me make it clear as crystal right now. Anyone, regardless of who you are, if you choose to join the murder cover-up scandal of my son Kendrick, you do so at your own peril. 13 long years, 3 separate autopsies, a closed federal investigation, and 3 federal lawsuits. The physical evidence points directly to a clear and orchestrated institutional intervention, yet the individuals responsible remain entirely insulated by the system.